Hello my lovely and underrated witches and mages, I'm merciless_witch, and today should be normally my vacation till I noticed I could press some more videos out of the juicer from the 6th anniversary Dead by Daylight event. Decided to throw 2 videos back into my basement called Hellhole for uploading it when I have my finally earned vacation, and decided to make my whole Discord server mad since they had dealt with my fucked up ideas, which you should by the way join so I can also go on your nevers on your private free time. So let me fast explain it to you how and which perk I remade before it's getting too hot in here like the sun in my fucking room, which tries to kill me in the summer every single fucking day. So I decided to debuff all perks randomly by looking how many times they were used and how bad some of them are. Also, before we move on, I give you a warning that I activated a spell under my comments which deletes all retardneys in there, so if you have a problem that I'm a air-breathing living human which also has his opinion, can you please watch this article on Wikipedia what opinion means and to come back if you can respect that. And the perks I won't change since those perks are okay for me like they are right now are Kindred, because solo queue survivors including myself would kill me if I changed that, because we are needing this perk. Flashbang and Blast Mine, because why should I change perks which are having their strong and weak sites. Deliverance, because it is fine for me. Alert, because it is strong enough. Urban Evasion, head on and built to last. Good? Yes, good. Then let's start with the video. I already know that I will burn in the next months in the hellhole since I have an upcoming exposed series from DBD YouTubers uploaded, which you should watch after this video because they are good. Trust me. So do I also not to have a problem to make all the Dead Hard users pay for my signs. I know, very iconic from me like always. Dead Hard is an exhaustion perk which lets you dash forward and dodge hits from killers to get a second chance, with the only problem that you have to deal with the exhaustion. So my change is that if you use it, that you still get the normal effect, but that you are broken for 120 seconds in exchange for it, aka yes, I want to see it burn in hell, and with that should you know that I'm not kidding here. You still get the second chance, and you still can use it, just that you have to get something else away. And let's be honest here, sometimes you are getting just with 2-second dash over 1 minute more out of the chase, so it isn't that merciless from me, but if 50% of the users are using this perk there is no doubt that I have to wreck somehow. The second perk which I have to wreck on the ground is Borrowed Time, which won't be giving you longer a second chance anymore since a lot of survivor had to misuse it. LOL. You better run away from me before I'm gonna get ya. Teabagging mag hee. So what will I change? Well, I have 2 ideas here. 1 I did steal and 2 from me, which will make the developers so much work that they will hate me like the people Blizzard does. The idea which I stole from Choi is that you can unhook yourself from the second stage from the hook, but that you are broken for the rest of the game, and that you instantly bleed out if you are getting down, that you will bleed out instantly. It's like the perk is saying, borrowed time. Then next to my first idea, which I didn't stole, was that if you should have died on a hook, that you are still alive for 1 minute, that you can help to decide if you want to recover some pallets, unblocking generators, sabotaging hooks, or working on a generator minus 75% with the original speed which you had, but that you have to pay 6,000 blood points as offering from it to the killer. I know, very unique, but it would be cool to see that. My second idea was to change it so that if you should be dead on hook and you should be getting downed on your last chase, that you are not dying from the hit, but that you are getting in the deep wound effect, which won't be removable and holds 120 seconds. In that deep wound effect you can't get downed after one another hit, but it will remove 60 seconds from your deep wound, and the timer will not stop if you start pressing the sprint button. The timer will only stop if you are in the chase. You could however try to recover 16 seconds to get 10 seconds back if the match should be almost over, so that you can maybe escape with it, but if the time is over you will die instantly, aka that was my definition from borrowing time, and without making the perk useless. It would be a nerf, but not like the nerf which everyone would be expecting, and just borrowing time. For the next one I will also need a iron will, since the perk didn't I wanted to nerf, not gonna lie. If you didn't get the joke, I'm talking about iron will, which will make you 100% quiet if you should be hurted. For this one it was simple to create a nerf. You have 60 seconds if you are hurted, where you don't moan the fucking hell of the mon out of you, but you have to press a button if you want to use the effect in sudden situations, but if you are letting that button go, you will have to wait 60 seconds to use it again, and if the 60 seconds are used, the perk is useless. To be honest, I really didn't want to nerf this, and if I would be behavior, I wouldn't do that, but if they have to, they should go with this solution since it doesn't hurt that much for the survivor newbies, but also not that easy anymore to use. Decisive Strike is somehow not first for some reason, which is okay for me, but also shocked me a bit. Decisive Strike is a perk where you have 1 minute after getting unhooked where you shouldn't do anything else except in going in a locker or opening a door, or else you can't use the Prizuez effect, freeing yourself from the killer's grasp if he should chase you again in that minute. The problem about this perk is not about how it works. The problem lies how the players are using using it. What do I mean with it? Well, a lot of players are trying to tell the killer a fuck you with that perk, which isn't nice, so let's change it like that. Let's change nothing on it except if you should do anything, even going into a locker, opening a door, like really anything except of using Windows, the perk will be deactivated, and with the effect that it will be deactivated for the whole round except if it was A, used, because then it will also deactivate it again, and B, if you waited that 1 minute and did really nothing except of waiting that this perk is running out, because then you can use it after the second hook stage with the same rules embleed. Don't get me wrong, it is okay to tell the killer that he should still let you alive in the round yet, but also going crazy into the fucking Yandra mode and making cringy montage videos like Okadio because you misuse something in a game for the 100 doesn't make it good, and is also the reason why it is getting nerfed. Okay, those were too many debuffs for me at least, so I am giving you a buff between it so that you're not getting crazy, and the buff is for light since I want the people stop using dead hard. The buff for it will be that, add 15 seconds more exhaustion on top, but give the survivor 4 seconds instead of 3 seconds a speed boost, so that it is more used to get away from the killer, and not to fuck up the killer mid-chase. Yes, this sounds a bit too strong for some killer mains for ya, but do you want lithe or dead hard? Spine Chill is a perk which is cool to see so much up in the rankings, and to be honest, I don't have a problem with that perk in every way since you only see when the killer is coming to ya, and giving you a small boost in the situations where you really need it, but since it is in the top 10, do we have to debuff it sadly? My debuff would be like this: if the killer is not looking at the survivor's direction in a radius from 40 meters, the survivor is getting the 6 to 9% buff where he is in everything faster. But if the killer should look at your direction that you are screaming every 60 seconds and reveal your location, and getting a debuff from 6 to 9% where you do everything slower when the killer is looking to you. For some of you the debuff might be too harsh, and to be honest it is, but my name is merciless_witch, so what did you expect from me? Doing not something merciless. And also it reminds me a lot of my cat in real life, because if she gets mad one time a year she is going slowly but very aggressive to her hiding spot where she wants to chill for a bit. This wondered me a bit, and yet it's still getting used somehow. Self-care got so many debuffs, and that people are still using it is just questionable in my opinion. This perk allows you to heal yourself without any help from others, and since this is very strong yet somehow for some stupid-ass reason, do I have scroll debuffs magic to make it people use it lesser? My first idea would be, remove 25% from the 50% of healing speed so that you only want to heal if you are really need it, since this would take a lot of time, and also reduce the usage from items from 15% to 9% since people couldn't exploit it then with medkits then. My second idea was that we are giving the survivors the 100% of self-caring speed back, but if they should heal themselves that they are A, going to be broken for 100 seconds for the next time if they are getting hit or slash, and B, make the survivors for 60 to 90 seconds exposed since the methods of self-caring yourself are usually not that great. Again here, I also stalked what the other people's opinion was, where they demanded that self-care should ignore every debuff for the survivors, which to be honest, would be more buff, so let's ignore that the opinion from the others are never happened and continue with that clown show. Since there were a lot of debuffs right now, do I want to mix it up right now with a buff so that the video isn't so hopeless? Get it because of the perk hope. I know, that was a very bad one, like its effect, which is letting you run faster for 7% for 120 seconds after the gates are powered with energy. For this little perk do I have a little potion in my library since weeks with the following effect. Every time a repaired generator will light up will you feel the hope more and growing stronger. You are starting with the 5 seconds with the following buff. 5% faster in everything and more luck to you, and every time a generator is repaired you will get a pip which is giving you a plus 1% boost on top of it, and the effects of it will hold 1 second longer. After all generators are repaired will you have the hope effect for 120 seconds active till it deactivates. I know that it isn't that strong, but it will give you a buff and the power to survive till the end, and hope deserves that, so shut up. Windows of Opportunity, which shows you every windows, pallet and door on the map if you are in radius from 32 meters of them, just got his buff a few months ago, and already our people are misusing it. Easy and hurtless, add the 20 seconds cooldown time back so that people have to think and remember on where was what thingy there, and maybe remove 4 meters. Wow, a simple one this time, yay. We're gonna farm forever gave you 100% more blood points for the whole round if you took some hits for a mate or saved a survivor safely from a hook, and gave to you a 100% heal bonus on those which are downed. Since it is mostly used for blood points does that really hard to nerf, but my nerf would be sounding like this. The first idea, only getting those stacks for the blood points if you were healed this survivor in the first minute of unhooking them, or slash, and B, completely removing the blood points mechanic for farming to stop the fucking greed from some survivor, which are destroying my rounds 300,000 times since they have to farm me down from the hook, and make the perk like this. If the unhooked survivor should be getting hit in the first minute of getting unhooked, you are getting all the hits instead of him, and getting for every hit he gets a pip which from 4, which is giving you 25 25% more blood points each pip. You still could get the blood points, but if you would have to sacrifice yourself or get your mate Savly out from the hook without sacrificing again just because you want the points. If you want the point, you have to work for them like some shitty perks are doing for the killer, so eat it up. Buff time again before the people are believing that I want to debuff every perk because spoiler, it's the reverse thing. Inner healing is a perk which lets you heal in a locker in 8 seconds after cleansing a totem. I want that to be a stackable tokens perk since we are really needing that in my opinion here. So my change is, for every cleansed totem you will receive 1,5 or 2 tokens. You can collect them how much you want to, and you can consume 1 token for getting healed up in the locker in 13 seconds. You guys have some taste because adrenaline is also got used quite a lot from you, and to be honest, a lot of killers, including also me, does not have a problem with it since you have to get through the round to using it. For those which might not know this perk does it do that you are getting a 5-second sprint boost with a speed of 150% and in getting 1 heal status back when all the generators got powered. The easy idea to implement from me would be to remove the sprint boost in the end and give you 2 health status back, or remove the health status and give you 10 seconds from the 150% speed boost. But since my name is merciless underscore which do I have some other debuff potion laying around here which could be that you are getting in the first 30 seconds from a killer's chase a 9% boost on everything, which means running and vaulting. Healing I do mean it, everything but getting a 9% slowness for 45 seconds after the 30 seconds or after the chase is done. Since adrenaline has the shitty side effect in real life that you are getting weaker for a long time for that boost, is that important to give that a price tag like in real life with your health, so it makes sense to make it into the game. Boon. Circle of spamming. I did mean healing, sorry. Does let you and your mates in a circle of 24 meters from the blessed totem, healing themselves and bless it again and again till death since you have no life except a blessing some fucking bones. So this nerf can be applied to all boon totems and make it like this. Remove the 24 meters and make it that it works on the whole map. Every time it gets blowed up from the killer, the perk gets a pip from 4 which reduces the healing speed from 11% every time you try to boon the totem again to the max of 44% so that you still can heal but need for the to 66,66 seconds for heal in the end if you should dare to boon 300 times. Surprise, but we're not done yet. My second nerf was to again remove the 24 meters and make it for work for map wide. Make the sound quieter, which it does, but it can be destroyed from the killer with a 4-second animation, but I can't be boned anymore. This would be equivalent to the hex totems from the killers and would again give you a price, even if it's not such a costful one this time from me. Don't worry, I also thought about the other boons, so they are coming now all in a row. Boon exponential does let you revive yourself 100% faster if you are getting downed and if you are in the area from the boon totem, so my change here, make it like boon circle of spamming so that you can only boon 1 time on the map, or if you should spam it that it won't help you in the end anymore. And the same should be for boon shadow step, only let the survivors use it 1 time or reduce the coverage from the perk after a time since boon shadow step is stronger if you have more coverage from it. Do you remember small game? No, me neither, because the perk is annoying shit and Jill's perk counterforce is even better than this piece of junk into our files. Small game was that old perk where you can find the perks and you get an annoying notification every time you are in the area from one, so I decided to make it into something unique which only the killer mains are having right now. If the killer should destroy your totem, will small game offering itself to protect it and will let the totem somewhere else without losing any effect. This perk needs to receive a debuff because this is way too much used. I'm here talking about Unbreakable, which lets you recover 1 time from the down heath station itself with a faster speed. So easy. In short, my idea was that let forget everything what it was, since it is quite rare sometimes that someone can use that, but give this person a broken status effect for 60 seconds if he picks himself up from the bottom. This won't be for some problem, and for me also not as in hardcore survivor main, but it would a price which some has to learn how to deal with it. And also this perk doesn't remind me then on a crazy Karen which is going crazy because she didn't got her oranges for $2 on Best Buy. I don't know why, I don't know, but it just reminds me of a Karen. Prove thyself lets you buff other survivors in a 4 meters radius from you to give them a 15% repairing speed boost, and you are getting a lot of more blood points with it. So not gonna lie, I really didn't had a good idea about it, but since I don't wanna steal so much from Choi was my idea from it like this. Remove everything, and from now on you are getting those merciless storm skill checks which grants you for every skill check which you don't miss some progression done. The first skill check 0,1% extra, 0,2% extra on the second, and the list continues, but those skill checks are getting every time you hit faster, and if you miss 1 skill check you are getting 80% of your progression away which you made. This sound be too strong that debuff, especially if you lose all your process, but this perk will get help from my buffed version of corrective action. If you remember that perk, since it got ignored since its release. So you won't be having so many problems anymore. Plunderer's Instinct is a bit old and need, in my opinion, an upgrade, since seeing where the chests are and which items are in there if someone opened it in an area from 32 meters and having a slightly higher chance for items is a bit too weak. So my buff for it is, from now on you can find yellow/green or purple, depends on the perk level, items out of chests, and you see all the chests aura on the whole map. But that wasn't anything, since I want to add that you can research every chest one time. Sounds much more stronger and usable, right? So please change that, guys, because this perk is too weak right now. Another perk which I found too strong but not too much is Bond, which lets you see all the survivors from you in an area from 32 meters away from you. So to give it a little debuff, do you have to find the survivors in area from 16 meters from you, so and let the other stuff the same, since this shouldn't make so much of a difference, just that you only have to earn the effect for it. Empathy is our next major perk, which needs to be nerfed a bit, since a lot of survivors like to use it to know where the killer is and to make the killer angry, because you can see every hooded survivor in an area from 128 meters you away and also know where the killer is. So my nerf is, you can collect now pips for every survivor you are seeing for the first time, which lets you see every hooded survivor in an area from you to 16 meters fairer away from you. You start with a base or a ranch from 32 meters where you can see the hooded survivors. If a survivor dies, will you lose a pip? In the end, did I knock off 48 meters? If you should have all 3 pips, and you will lose them after time, so that this perk can't be misused anymore. Flip-flop gives you 50% from your wiggle progression back if you are fully recovered on the bottom and waiting for someone to pick you up before you bleeding out for the 400th time in a row. So this might be sounding strong, but I want to make the killers cry, which are not picking up the survivor immediately. But I want either 75% of the heal or 100% of the heal as in progression speed or bonus, because this is going right now a bit on my nerves with the whole twins situation in the game, so I will make them pay now for using Victor. The next perk I want to change, because it is a bit too strong for me right now, is Botany Knowledge, which lets you heal 33% faster and more efficiently. Some might laugh at me, but you will understand my changes, because I have some crazy shit planned with the other perks. My idea to debuff it would be that you have to earn the effect. You can collect up to an unlimited amount of tokens by finding plants around the map and collecting stuff. A token will be consumed when you heal yourself or others, which is giving you 11% instant progression. The plants will despawn if you should collect one, but we can use the luck aspect that there is a chance where it doesn't always despawn. I know a very complicated one, but this would result in A, let the survivors doing something else, and B, you would have to earn it. And another spoiler, I will change the luck aspect much into the game. You will see it, but for now I won't spoiler you. Balanced Landing is a perk which gives you a sprint boost from 150% for about 3 seconds after falling down from very high, and reduce the effect from after falling down to 75% but getting for 40 seconds exhaustion. Since you are willing falling down sometimes, is this perk nice to have, and I really don't want to nerve about it anything, but I want to debuff the effect from falling down without balanced landing. So my idea is, from now on survivors will be 5% slower for 5 to 10 seconds if they are falling down without balanced landing. I just wanted to make the perk more stronger and more worthy while using it, so please don't come after me, since we need to get people of playing something else than dead hard, and forcing this effect in there could also helping to change the minds for some people. I really don't want to nerf the next one, but since 4.80% of the people are using it, I want to make it a bit slower, but don't worry, I won't wreck it to the ground like dead hard. The perk I talked about was Will Make It, which is giving you a 100% heal speed on others for 60 seconds. So my change would be like this: every time you unhook someone, will you get a 100% heal speed on healing others for 200 seconds, but for every second the perk is activated will you lose -1% from the effect, and after the 100 seconds will you get a reduction from healing others till the perk runs out, because then you will lose the reduction or activate the perk again. You will get a faster heal with it, but if you stop unhooking and helping others, will you get slower with it, aka like the others, getting something good but paying the price for it. Sprint Boost is a perk where you are getting for 3 seconds a speed boost from 150% when starting to run. This one was really hard one to nerf or buffing, since I had several ideas in my head on where this perk could have been better, and my idea in the end was to buff it, because I want that people are using this except of dead hard. So some will hate me for this, but the changes would be: survivors can still use exhaustion perk while being exhausted, but they are earning pips for it, and for every pip they make will the recoverment from exhaustion perk plus 100% longer than they used to be, and all the pips will be removed after getting hooked. So if you would use sprint boost, balance landing, lithe and dead hard, you would need to wait 280 seconds to get all the perks up or longer, and if they are not getting hooked, that they won't use their perks for the whole round anymore, since the waiting time is so long. My next buff I want to give the survivor is breakout, because it lets you run 7% faster and let your friend wiggle out 20% faster if you are in an area from the survivor which is getting to a hook, but but this perk would normally need a bit more. If we add in 10% faster wiggle speed for the person in the killer grasp position and add 2% run speed into it, would I be happy with this perk? I know, it's not much, but it would definitely help. Ace in the hole. Well, that perk has a pretty perverted name on it, not gonna lie. Ace in the hole right now makes sure that you are getting add-ons on your items if you are searching in a chest, and that you can keep them if you should escape and not losing this item. My buff would make luck a bit more interesting in the game because this perk would have the following change for me. Your luck chances are increased by 50%. If you should be dead on a hook, you can hoop into a locker and have the 50% chance to spawn into a different locker, which is at least 50 meters away from the killer, or higher if you are taking offerings, and some other perks with it. After that, the perk will be deactivated. It sounds to be maybe a bit off, but only the survivor could use one time if they should be dead on a hook, and only have a chance from 50% getting this perk activated. Also, in my opinion, would be that perk be perfect for Ace, since his whole lore and perks are about luck and how he survived different bad situations just with luck. I would also change probably luck so that you are getting better stuff in the game, sometimes getting a speed boost from 2 to 4%, or repairing sometimes faster to 9% or stuff like that, while introducing an unlucky mechanic for the killers which reduces for survivors the luck after a time, or with perks where they are getting sudden debuffs like being broken, starting moaning even if you are not hurt it, seeing the aura from the survivor sometimes, because that would change the games a lot and would bring an opportunity for both sides getting new perks without raping the totems 300 times. I know I'm such a genius, thank me later. The next perk which needs a buff is Counterforce, with only 0,98% being used on the builds most of the time because it only lets you cleanse the totems faster. For that I had one simple buff: give the survivors for every totem cleanse a pip from 5, which is getting you 20% more blood points to a max of 100% of blood points in the round. Let the speed as right now as it is, give the perk 2 more seconds where you can see where the next totems is, and bring in the mechanic that both survivors and killers can't repair the totems anymore with perks such as Hex Pentimento. If we are talking about buffs, can't I ignore Quick and Quiet, since it is so underrated and so forgotten by many people. Quick and Quiet allows you to go through windows or pallets fast without notifying the killer once for every 20 seconds, and since this is a bit updated, do I want to add in the effect that you are vaulting 25 to 75% faster, but give it a cooldown from 30 to 40 seconds, since this would have been too OP. This would make people want to use it more and would give them a reason to stop ignoring it. Another buff is also really needed for the Left Behind, since it's only showing you the hatch when all are dead and gone. The cost already is too high, which is surviving through the end, and the payment is way too low for it, so from now on I want to have it like this: when everyone is dead you will see the hatch unlimited meters away from you, and there will be a broken key spawned next to it which will be there for a minute after the killer closed the hatch. The broken key has a 50% luck rate that it will work, but the luck chances can be higher or lowered from other perks, offerings, events, etc. Some people might crying and say that would be off, but the payment for that is to survive as last, and the chance that he will survive won't be high since it is a broken key. The next perk was hard to change because A, it's renewal, and B, its effect is so garbage that I'm not willing to explain for you what it does, but then I had an idea which could be working great with the new borrowed time perk from me. Every time if you are getting height from the killer with a normal basic attack, you are gaining a pip. For every pip you have, you are stunning the killer for 1 second longer than usual, and he is getting stunned if he is in an area from 4 to 6 meters of a pallet. If you have no pips anymore, you won't stun the killer in the area from 4 to 6 a pallet. Since this sounds super broken as hell, did I also had a different idea which would give you 50% from your health back if you are stunning the killer. It wouldn't make the perk completely boost, but it would do at least something. You know, this perk used to be not doing anything. Distortion is our perk number 4, which needs a buff and somehow still is getting ignored by the survivors despite of being strong as hell, because the killer won't see your scratch marks and aura if he uses any aura reading perk for 10 seconds with 4 pips on it. Since my head is limited with ideas, would I buff it like this: give it another pip so we have 5, and make 1 pip last 10 to 45 seconds. How much you are getting out of it will be luck based, and would, even if you are unlucky for the whole round, getting you 1 pip more. Oh, and also add that the killer can't see any blood from you as well in that time, and just copy and paste the effects from the old version to my super version here in it. As next on the list we have Deception, which, don't get me wrong, but you don't any glue how locker perks are so great if you know how to use them. Deception is allowing you to not leave any scratch marks for 3 seconds if, and makes a fake animation where you are hopping in but you aren't. Since this is very niche, let us completely go more in a luck and do it like this. You have 3 pips and you consume 1 pip if you are getting into a locker. In that locker you have a chance to spawn into a differently locker from 99% with 3 pips, 66% with 2 pips, and 33% with a pip in an area from 32 meters, but make you broken for 100 seconds, and you will also have for 100 seconds an exhaustion, and for every pip you are consumed, your chances are rising to 33% that you will scream after exiting a locker, and your removal from the broken status effect. Yes, they will spawn into a differently locker, but they can't use any dead hard or other boost perks if they want to use that perk, which means they will sacrifice it for dead hard, which is good, and they are broken for 100 seconds. The chances that they are screaming is there, and the chance is there that they won't getting spawned into a differently locker since it is luck. You might maybe not like this luck thingy, but I like it since it is something differently, and I will continue with some more luck perks since I don't want any booners anymore. Since they were too many buffs now, do I want put a debuff in there for a very much beloved perk from the survivors called Resilience, which is giving you a speed boost from almost everything 9% except of running when you are hurted, and to be honest, I don't have any problems, but since we have to change would be my idea for it like this. When a survivor is not on a hook, you will receive a 5% speed boost on everything except for running, but if a survivor is on a hook or down on the ground, you will receive a 10% speed reduction penalty till the survivor is not on a hook anymore. This would give the survivor a boost in the situation when needed, but giving them problems if another survivor is on a hook. I know that the effect sounds a bit boring, but I tried to not go with a -4% reduction from the original perk since this would have been boring, and boring is a thing which I can't allow myself yet. Situational awareness is for me a weird one since I like the effect from it RN, but it's just not enough. For those which are not knowing what it is, aka over 99% from you, is situational awareness a perk where you the others see, where you are working in a radius from 32 meters, and you see the others if the killer picks up someone for 10 seconds on the whole map. So let's change it like this, remove the radius because this is bullshit and needs no one. As second upgrade does it get that the other survivors can see from the aura how done the generator is to signify to come over and help. The third upgrade can you see the person which is the farthest away, but will switch to the survivor which is getting chased, and as a small bonus do you get for each survivor which is working with you on the generator a 1% bonus for every skill check you are hitting, but the person which is working with you on the generator deprogress the generator for every skill check he is hitting for -0,5%, and for every skill check he is not hitting -2%. This perk would be broken with Prove Thyself, so I decided that UR mate removes some progression. Before you want to start crying on how I could something doing like this with buffing and debuffing it on a buff, should you please remember that we have some other perks which I will buff which also helps the other perk each other out. This one is weird because it is already so strong that I wouldn't want to buff it, but since I know how the DBD community doesn't like variety, does it not wonder me why Vigil is not used, which reduces the exhaustion, exposed, broken, blindness, hemorrhage, hindred and oblivious effect for nicely 30% and your mates in the areas which are 8 meters from you away and lingers for 15 seconds. So, since I want more luck stuff in the game to happening since it would be random at funny, will I buff it like this? The effects will be the same, give the linger effect another 15 seconds on top of it, and in that the luck is higher for everyone if they are in their area from him from 50%. Buff the others effects for 50% and also include that the characters are 50% quieter, the scratch marks are 50% faster away, reduce the blood animation for 50%, and the reduction from the time which you have to wait till you can activate them again from other perks like premonition, distortion etc. would be reduced to 50%. Since this would be a bit too strong, and only want to buff it a little bit, do you have to pick up a charm in the round which lets you a bit glowing, and is getting destroyed after you are getting hooked, and have to find it again for the buffs, and I want to introduce objectives in the game where the killer can reduces the luck from 100% if they interactive with other stuff, which would also give some variety for the survivor because the survivors could also that, just that they are getting more luck, and in the end, it would be just something more in the game to do which is important to do, and let's be honest here, I and so many others love random stuff. Self-aware is a perk which lets you go 20% faster, and you see your own scratch marks if you run, and even when 2,56% from the people are using it. Do I want a simple buff? Add in at least 20 or even better 30% more speed on top of it since you are wasting a perk slot with it, and if we are honest here, could other perks could make a better usage out of this perk than self-aware, but my also head got right now a second idea which is giving for every minute they are not running a stack, and every stack allows them to go 10% faster of a max from 50%, and if they should run they will get for 10, 20, 30, 40 or 50 seconds a speed boost from 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5%, but consuming all tokens. Then change it how you want behavior, but you know that we need to change it. Alright. Good, because this perk deserves better, and we all know that. Leader is a weird perk because it buffs other 25% by doing everything except of running and repairing, because a leader should be normally stronger and not its co-workers. So here is my idea. Every time you're working with a survivor on something together or run with them somewhere together, for every 15 seconds you will earn a pip. 1 pip will give you 15% more luck, 2 pips lets you open the door 15% faster, 3 pips will let you open chests 15% faster, 4 pips will heal and unhook 15% faster, 5 pips will let you cleanse the totems 15% faster. 6 pips will let you sabotage 15% faster and will be 15% longer removed than the usual. 7 pips will let you recover from the exhaustion 15% faster. 8 pips will let you repair 15% faster. 9 pips will let you cry 15% quieter. 10 pips will let you use an item 15% longer. 11 pips will let you make an item 15% faster and stronger. 12 pips will make you run 5% faster. 13 pips will give your aura reading perks 15% more range. 14 pips will let you recover 15% faster if you are in dying state. 15 pips will let you wiggle out 15% faster. 16 pips will give the killer 15% more wiggle effects if he is picking you up. 17 pips will give you a 15% chance that your boon totem is spawning somewhere else when the killer is breaking it. 18 pips will reduce the scratch marks by 15%. The effects which you will get for the pips will be randomized. This sound may be too strong, but please remember that if you want all effects from it, you had to be with working someone 270 seconds together, which is very rare to get, and also it is randomized, so it could that they are getting bullshit at the start, and if it would be too op, could you make the 15 seconds to a 20 or 30 seconds waiting time for a new effect, or put in that the survivor can only have 5 effects. Perks have to do something, and yes, the leader would be okay, which we are having right now, but I thought my idea would be more funnier. The next one only needs a little buff since the number just doesn't look good enough, but I'm talking here about desperate measures, which gives you a heal boost from plus 14% for every herded survivor. Again, very easy. I want A, 15% for every herded survivor, or B, 20% since this perk is to be considered as too weak, especially against botany knowledge right now, so please give it more love and I would be happy with it. Medal of Man used to be off, then it got nerfed to the ground, and now no one knows what it is or was, and why the hell the symbol looks like someone tries to fist the killer with metal or wants to show the mid-leafinger. Medal of Mid-Leafinger made it that you are getting a free hit if you should be getting downed after you did tank 3 hits for other survivors. The important word was made because I'm making Dead by Daylight to a fucking RPG now with that perk. My idea is that you, and only you, can find random pieces for a armor which you have to craft together in the game. If you find those pieces for 60 seconds, after making that piece of armor you will have it forever, and do that you can then A, hold out 2 hits from the killer, or B, behavior doesn't complicated and very costly animation where the killer rip apart this amor from him while he is getting time to wiggle out. We both know that behavior would go with A since it is cheaper, but hun, I'm not done here yet. If you take the armor you are 10% slower in everything which you are doing, even running, and if your armor only has 1 free hit left you are 5% slower in everything. While you are using the armor you can't use any lockers since you are too fat for it. You have all the time exhaustion on you since this thing is fat, and you are blinded since you really can't think till the amour is removed, and getting healed is a thing which you also can't do since you have an armor on you. Oh, and if you are losing the armor you will have the exhaustion effect for 40 seconds on you before I forget that. This should be strong enough but also not too op. If we are already talking about showing others the mid-leafinger, is it time to make Saboteur stronger again? But not too strong before the killers are crying. Saboteur is a perk where you can sabotage a hook every minute and see the auras from the hook. My first idea for changing it would be like this: change nothing and only add in that you can make the hooks to 99%, so you just only have to touch them with Saboteur. The second idea would be more crazy, but I hope you will stick there with me. After getting unhooked for the first time, will all the hooks be sabotaged for 30 seconds on the whole map? And if you are getting unhooked for the second, will all hooks be sabotaged for 60 seconds and remove that you can sabotage hooks, even with a toolbox if you use this perk? This would create that the killer can't A, tunnel the hell out of everyone, and would make perks like Unbreakable, No Myther, and many others stronger. Every YouTuber hates this perk except for me since I really like the concept. You probably didn't even had to think about it, but I'm talking about Autodidact, which lets you start with a panity if you hit a skill check from 25%, but every skill check you hit you start to earn pips, which lets you heal in the end with 1 skill check over 70% from health from someone else, and there is the problem, from someone else, so let's change it like that. From now on the skill checks are now from Merciless Storm. You still start with the penalty, but just that if you heal yourself without a med kit that you're still getting the skill checks, and that the reward for every skill check is smaller. Per skill check you're getting 1%, which removes the penalty and lets you in the end heal you in a few seconds. The max you can get now is only 15%, which shouldn't be a problem since you can end up healing yourself within 8 seconds or others. I really wish they could have just implemented that the skill checks are triggered more often with that perk, since that is right now the problem with the perk, but I think it is mostly not getting used since it is decently good but not good enough, you know what I mean. Bite the bullet lets you mute the sound from healing and moaning when you heal yourself or others, and that's it. So let's add something up. Add in that bite the bullet is ignoring the effects from hemorrhage, crit palette, and that you can skip the deep wound and start healing yourself if you have a perk or an item to heal yourself. This should make the current Deathslinger Legion meta, which is going a bit on my nerves, and should at least counter it a bit since we also want to make the people using the perk instead of dead hard, remember? Good, because I'm here to change the meta and not make shitty effects on rare situations on the perk on it. Diversion lets you collect dirt from the street after you were in the terror radius for the killer for a few seconds and lets you throw some stones on homeless persons since you have no fucking life to do anything else and is leaving scratch marks and a notification for the killer. Do you know what the problem is? The scratch marks are too little. You can't collect multiplay stones to kill those homeless people in your garden, so let's change it like that. A, if you are throwing a stone, does it have to make a big fat scratch mark thingy which has to stay there for a minute? It should be stackable to at least 3 pips. Or B, if you want to put some work into it and don't want to create 3 pips for us since you're still trying to fix the MMR behavior, could you throw a stone where for a few seconds birds are spawning there which are going crazy and creating 300 notifications through the whole map and remove all scratch masks for a few seconds from everyone? Yes, I bring back a mechanic which you all ignored for years, even if they are perks for it, and yes, I made a good effect since I do want the people to use them. How the hell is Streetwise so underrated? Why aren't you using it more? Why and how? I have so many questions which I will never get an answer to it, so let me explain for the 99.31% of you what it is and why it is good. It gives you 25% more usage from your item, and the good part, the others are also getting the effect if they are in your area from 8 meters and it lingers for 30 seconds for them. So easy and simple, double everything and make it stupidly strong. 50% more from your item, 16 meters for the others, and let it linger for 1 minute. This sounds strong, but if a lot of killers are using Franklin's demise does not really matter, but again, having 50% more from the item could help you, especially if you use a medkit. No one left behind, aka the perk which got you left behind. The perk which got left behind gets you 50% action speed on unhooking and healing other survivors, shows you all auras from the survivors, and earns you 100% more blood points in the altruism category if all 5 generators were made, and I think there is the problem. Asterisk in the end does that almost bring nothing, so I came up with an crazy perk. Okay, so you can earn now for pips in the round, and you're getting 1 pip if you unhook someone safely from the hook and healed him or offered yourself to the killer if the killer comes back in the first minute. At 1 pip you are getting a 100% bonus in the altruism category. For 2 pips you can heal 50% faster and unhook them faster. For 3 pips do the survivor see your aura, and for 4 pips you are getting a free hit, but you are broken for the rest of the round, and if a survivor is escaping when you are on the hook you will get 100% more blood points for all the other categories. I know, I created a little monster here, but you have to heal the survivor after unhooking them in under a minute or offer yourself from him, and you know, it should start getting used, so this buff should be at least helping for those who want to help the other mates. Lucky Break gives you for 1 minute no scratch marks and no blind marks, and the effect stops if it runs out or you're getting healed up in that minute. If you have some time from the perk left, can you use it till the 1 minute is over? What the fuck happened here? Overcome and Lucky Break are one of the most broken build ever, and I shit you not, but this is also scaring me now a bit. So easy and simple, double the time, so that the perk is getting some attention like my channel really needs. Next please. Since I'm losing more and more ideas, will I buff Lightright it a bit easier since changing over 100 perks is exhausting as hell, and having removed the scratch marks for 3 seconds faster is nothing, let's be honest there. Several ideas here. You are so lightweight that you leave mega thick scratch marks around so the killer doesn't know where you did run. The second idea would be that the scratch marks are removed to 50 to 75% faster, and the third idea is that if you run in one direction the scratch marks will continue in that direction while not running in that direction anymore, and you won't leave any scratch marks while the killer is following those scratch marks. Especially the last one will require a lot of programming to do, but this perk does right now nothing, and I want that it does something. Stake Out. Wow, a perk which I can finally understand. How weird. Stake Out gives you 4 earnable pips if you are in terror radius from the killer, where you can use for skill checks where normal good skill checks are getting converted
to super duper great ones,
and get a 1% bonus on top of it. So to be honest, I really don't have a good idea for it, but what my idea was, let the earnable pips thingy in there, just only that you are consuming 1 token but getting for 4% if you collected 4. After 1 was removed you have 3 and only get then 3%, after that 2 for 2%, the list goes on, and I hope you know how I mean because it was very hard to write it in words. Since Boil Over recently knocked to the ground, so that you have no use case with of exceptions from misusing places, which we shouldn't do, will I explain to you what it did after the 300 100 changes, and how we end the changing for once at all. Right now it does that the wiggle effects are stronger, and that the killer can't see any hooks from a range of 16 meters, and will you get 33% more progression if you are falling with the killer somewhere down, while you are in his grasp. My change to end this completely fucked up perk will be that, change it back to what it was if the killer lets a survivor falling, that the person is getting 33 more wiggle progression. It was perfect like this, and all the killer mains just cried on this because for some random reasons which I can't understand, but just change it back, lol. Resurgence. While you are to 50% healed after you got unhooked is a sentence I never heard, and I probably won't never hear, which is good for both of us since that would be cringe as hell, and also weird to do. I just say what we all think to this perk, which is, delete this bullshit and stop wasting my space from my hard disk. Good. After we said this I will say what the perk should be released, and it is weird that it never came in the game like that, which is, getting instantly healed after getting unhooked. I know what the killer mains want to say, but do you know what I want to say? Do you want the survivors using resurgence more, or should they destroy your ass with dead hard? Yeah, so don't you dare to tell us how op would be if over half of the killer can expose the survivors with add-ons, or just with their ability, so don't you dare to make my job harder. I also have in life, Soul Guard is somehow overslept by you guys since it is so strong, and only 1,44% of the people are using it. For those which doesn't know, it will let you pick up from the bottom if the killer uses a hex, and if you are getting picked up by yourself or someone else you are getting for 8 seconds a borrowed time effect on you, so if the killer wants to slug that he can't do it. I don't know how I should buff this since this is already strong enough and wished what I wanted, so my try to make it better is, every time you are picking yourself up you are getting 16 seconds instead of 8, and for every second you are laying on the ground will you gain a plus 1% faster heal speed for picking yourself up. That's it, better can't I do it because it's so strong, and it's sad how it gets sleep on it. This one is not a surprise since I called that as a bug in my DBD ranking Survivor Perks video, which you should watch after the video since it needs more love. I'm talking here right now about clairvoyance, where you can see the aura for the exit gates, generators, hooks, chests and the hatch in an area from 64 meters for 10 seconds, but you can activate and deactivate the perk again, but you can't have an item in your hands to use it. Do you maybe know why I called it a bug? Because let's be honest, it is, so let's fix it. The first patch would be that you can use it with an item because why not? And the second buff is that you now see everything, even the aura from the killer and the survivors, and the third is to make it as a stackable perk, which means for every totem you get a stack so that only one person wants to use it. I know it's not such a huge buff, but it would help that people are stop ignoring this perk, and let's be honest, we don't need to make monsters like before. Tenacity lets you crawl 50% faster while healing if you are downed, and I can get it that a lot of people don't want to use it because it is a rare case. So to make it a bit better would be my change like this, add in plus 50% more crawl speed, and if your bar is full can you stand up for 10 seconds and run to a person, but the bar will lose progress, and when the bar doesn't have any progress anymore you will be in the dying state again. I know, sounds complicated, but it will mix up the perks again, and would make you get away from the killer. Power struggle makes you stun the killer if you have 15% on your wiggle bar while the killer tries to get you on a hook. Short and easy because I don't like this perk, make 10% out of it, and I'm happy then since it is rare to use it. Calm Spirit. Oh my, the perk which doesn't make you scream after you are getting hit. How nice, but they forgot it to update in the years, so here is my buff. Calm Spirit collects 1 pip every 60 seconds from a max of 4. You are consuming 1 automatically if you should scream of a hit, screaming of a perk, screaming because of the bottles from the clown, make any puke sounds, screaming because of electric shocks, screaming from a add-in from the killer, going trough right of judgment, showing your aura if Victor hit you, screaming because of the chains from the killer, screaming because of the COVID-19 monster, showing the aura from the birds if the killer should have attacked you with the bird lady for 10, or going through traps which are not getting triggered for all the effects for 10 seconds. After that you can collect tokens again. This would make sure to make your character shut up if the killer is someone which makes you scream like the doctor, but also gives you some freedom and going through the traps. Premonition. Look, it's Spine Chill just in the Crippling Depression edition, and still didn't fix it, so let's make it stronger than Spine Chill. My buff for Premonition is, if the killer looks in the direction you will see it downwards, and it will be activated for 30 seconds. In those 30 seconds you will get a sprint buff from 5%. You will leave way much less scratch marks which are disappearing faster. Your moaning is reduced to 50% in that time, and every time you stun the killer you don't moan for 10 seconds and the effect will be extended to 10 seconds. After it's deactivated you will have to wait 100 seconds to use it again. That sounds to be strong, but let's be honest, Survivor Perks has also to do something, and that would allow for interesting plays. Guardian is a perk which gives a survivor when you are unhooking the following effect for 8 seconds, 7 7% speed boost, leaving no scratch marks, and no blood pools. Again, this perk is underrated like the others, so I will change it into like this. Add in 1 more second and 2% more on the effects, but if you are healing the person you will get both the effect again for 9 seconds, and also remove that the killer can see your aura, since this is bullshit which no one needs. Oh my guys, look, it's dark sense which lets you see for the killer for 5 seconds every time when a generator is finished is a sentence I will never want to hear and never existed, because the perk is only one thing. Yes, right, it's trash, and since this perk is trash, do I have 2 options for the developers. A, double the time from the perk, since it would help a lot and wouldn't require extra work, or B, change that completely to every time a killer is hitting a survivor you will see his aura for 5 seconds and just make it like alert, but this would require work, so they will probably take the first solution. Any means necessary is a nice idea, but the implementation from it was poorly done, since you can pick up pallets which were thrown, but the perk will be deactivating for 60 seconds after it, and you can see the auras from all thrown pallets on the map. This might be a bit controversial, but my idea is probably something that a lot of survivors are wishing for. Add in 40 seconds cooldowns so that we're at 100 seconds, and let the survivor repair broken pallets within 9 seconds, but since this could have been abused, do I want that those pallets can only be used 3 times before they are getting broken again. Cool idea, right? It's like creating traps for the killers, which is a cool idea in itself. Technician is a perk which a lot of survivors should use, since they like to fuck up the skill checks, and this perk won't show the killer is you fucked it up. Work quieter on it, and is in the overlock perk, because a lot of people are thinking that they're pro gamers, which they are not, but I have maybe idea to make it stronger. My first idea is to let everything as it is, and that if you're using a toolbox, that this toolbox is 50% faster than normally, and the usage reduced by 50%, since this might be maybe too strong for some killers' mains. So my other idea is, again, let everything the same, and every time you're hitting a great skill check you will collect a part of a brand new part, which you can use after 3 great skill checks. This shouldn't be OP and strong enough, don't you think so? Aftercare is a perk where you can see the survivor from the whole map if you unhook them once or healed them once, and they see your aura, but you won't see them anymore if you are getting hooked. Since this perk is heavily underrated, we should buff it like this. 1. Let everything the same, and add in for every survivor you are connected to that you are getting plus 1% buff on doing everything faster, even running, or B. Remove the hook mechanic, since this is bullshit, and let everything the same. Not the biggest buff, but the people are not using it because of that hook mechanic, so let's remove it. But if we're already speaking from removing, is the next perk really interesting, since the character in the game isn't viable anymore? I'm talking here about kinship, which is giving you another 34 seconds on the second hook stage if the killer should decide to camp the hell out of you, and if another survivor is in the area. Good idea, but wrong implementation, since you can only use it 1 time. So here is my first idea. Add in 34 seconds for the first hook stage, since also a lot of killer decided to camp the first hook stage till death. Don't remove the 34 seconds on the second stage, and to remove that survivor mechanic, because it's bullshit if we're honest, and add in the ability that if you are having this perk on and others are getting camped, that they are also getting 34 seconds after being in an area from 16 meters and waited there for 10 seconds, and that you are seeing for 10 seconds his aura to let you know that he is camping. Deja Vu is the next perk, which got forgotten by a lot of people, since you can see 3 generators which are the closest for 60 seconds every time a generator is getting repaired fully. Nice effect, but we should buff it a bit more. My buff is, let everything the same, and just add in that if you are working on a generator which is showed to you, that you are getting plus 1% for every skill check and collecting pips with those skill checks which will stack, and that you are plus 1% faster in everything in the area from the generator from 20 meters, except of making generators for every pip you have, but you will lose the pips after 60 seconds, since the perk has the effect that you only see the generator for 60 seconds. With those changes it would get some little buffs, and without being completely trash. Then Overcome is a perk which is giving you that speed boost after getting hit from the killer for 2 seconds longer, which is giving you more distance, as if you would have used any other exhaustion perk. And if I'm honest with you, do I really not have a problem with this perk, but how the perk can be so rarely used, since a lot of killers are using perks which are giving you exhaustion effects without even touching you. So to make that a bit stronger, do I want 3 seconds instead of 2, because it would have been fair, since you only can use when you're healthy. This will be a pain in the ass, since I really don't know how to buff, but I have to do it somehow. The perk I'm talking about is No Mither, which spawns you into the game broken. You can't heal up, you won't leave any blood pools, you are moaning 75% quieter, and can heal yourself up if you should have been downed with an extra speed. Again, nice idea, but wrong implementation, since you are getting usually tunneled out of the game if you use this perk. So let's change it like this. Idea A, make the survivor which is using this perk 100% quiet. No blood pools, and he also can't heal up, but make the heal speed higher if he is down to 100%, so he can use it, and if the killer should try to down him in the first 15 seconds, will the survivor getting the deep wound status effect instead of getting downed again. Idea B would be let everything the same, just that the person is starting fully recovered in the round but will be forever broken after the first hit, and every time he is getting downed will he get tokens, which for every token he can fast himself plus 100% faster up. Paying such a huge price for the whole round should be rewarded with something big, and this would make the killer to not tunnel him instantly out from the game, since he wouldn't know that the survivor has no mytha. The next perk, which is somehow forgotten from you guys, is appraisal, which lets you search through the chest 3 times, and that to 80% faster. To be honest, I feel this perk is underrated since I don't have any problems with it, so my buff would be like this. You can search through the chest unlimited times now, but every time you do your luck is getting reduced by 11%, and that you start with 50% extra luck. Yes, this sounds strong, but the more you search through, the lower your chances are getting to get something powerful, or even giving you debuffs if you are getting under 0% of the luck for a limited time, and this perk would help to bring my changes with luck more into the game, and would be just cool to see. Okay, this wasn't sadly a smash hit in the community, as you can see. Get it because of the perk name, smash hit. I know how iconic, because you got a sprint boost from 150% for 4 seconds if you stun the killer with the normal 40 seconds exhaustion on it. I really don't have a big idea for it, but I tried my best here. Smash hit is still an exhaustion perk, but every time you are stunning the killer you are getting a pip which lets you sprint boost plus 1 second longer for every pip you have next time, and that you are leaving very big scratch marks big when you get the boost, which also the survivor can see for a minute, since in real life is a smash hit a song which everyone knows and is normally for a long time on place 1 on the charts. It is normally hard to stun the killer, so getting that extra boost, but I really hadn't a better idea, sorry. This is not happening is a perk which increases your skill checks for 30% while injured, and is one of the perks which I'm wondering why it didn't get buff yet. So let's buff it so that it actually brings it something. My first idea is that if you are injured that you are only having skill check, which are great, and getting plus 3% if you hit them on your progression. My second idea was to completely remove the skill check and get for every 30 seconds you are staying hurted a pip which gives you a plus 1% progression speed if you are working on generators, hooks, healing others, and many more. And the last idea was that you have for pips and you consume 1 to touch or use stuff which is normally blocked from the entity. This might be sounding too strong, but again, they can only do that 4 times, and after it the perk is useless, and if it should get misused, you could add in the effect that after perk is deactivated that the entity is blocking stuff after 2 times using or touching them. To be honest, it's getting more and more harder to buff those perks, because how the fuck can I buff slippery meat, which gives you 4% more luck and 3 more tries to unhook yourself if you are first hook? So I tried to brainstorm everything with slippery and slime, and this was my idea. Your skin is oily and slimy so that you slip a bit every 60 seconds, you get more slipperier, and you collect pips. Since you are slippery, does each pip give you a plus 4% progression speed to wiggle faster off from the killer's grasp, but you will lose all pips after it, and the perk deactivates itself if you don't wiggle out. If the killer should hook you, will you get for every pip you earned a plus 4% higher chance to get off the hook, and you have 4 more tries to unhook yourself. If you unhook yourself, the perk will be deactivated. If you get unhooked from someone else, it will be deactivated, and the rest of the luck will be transported to your normal luck status, and you won't slip anymore. I know it is a lot, but I tried to balance it out without making it too off, but I really tried my best there. Wake up lets you open doors 25% faster, and you see the door's aura. To be honest, it's too weak, and if you should survive this long, does 5 seconds opening faster a door doesn't bring anything big. So let's make it like this. At the start of round you are annoying as hell since you don't want to be here, and try to get out of here with every cost. Till the first generator is repaired. Are you repairing 25% faster, but it will be deactivated if someone repaired the first generator. You unhook the first person too. Parental guidance does eliminate the scratch marks and blood pools for 7 seconds after stunning the killer. Okay, I don't know who thought that 7 seconds would be enough, but sorry hun. It isn't, so let's add another 7 seconds and a sprint boost from 7% while the perk is activated so that you actually escape and that the killer won't find you after 8 seconds, because let's be honest, that is and was a problem, and stunning is not always helping us, so this is at least buying some more time. Breakdown is breaking the hook for you after you got unhooked or unhooked yourself for 180 seconds and you saw the aura from the killer, and there is the problem. Why the fuck is it only broke for 180 seconds? So let's change it that the hook is broken forever in that round. Very easy, but what else do we need, because this is already powerful enough. Like breakdown does empathic connection, not really such a huge buff, because the original effect from that perk was that others could see your aura if they heard it, if they are in an area from 96 meters from you, and you heal the others 10% faster. My buff idea would be like that. You can collect for tokens and can get 1 token for every time you heal someone else, and every every token you have is a 25% heal speed bonus. Let the still aura thingy in there, and I think that should have been strong enough. Detective's Hunch is a perk which lets you see for 10 seconds generators, totems, and chests in a radius from 64 meters from you. I almost have no problem with the perk except for one thing, the radius, and to say it in short, just double the radius and add 5 seconds on top of it, and I would be hella fine with that perk, and it wouldn't be bad anymore. Behavior Interactive have really in fetish for ruining easy perks, because Pharmacy is a ruined wreck like the other easy perks here, and I don't get how you could ruin that. The perk right now does that you will open the chest 80% faster, and that you will get a green medkit out of it, nothing more. So let's change it like that. From now on you will always find green or purple medkits through the chests. You can search one more time in all the chests, and you search them 80% faster, so that it makes sense to take this perk with you, especially if we would debuff the self-care so crazy like I did. Boon. WTF is that boon, why does it exist? Makes you run 2% faster and lingers for 4 seconds in the boon radius.
Wow, 2%, that is so much that I OMG just can't.
Sorry, but we all know that this perk is a joke from a perk, and should have stayed in the basement from Behavior Interactive since it only is one thing, exactly.
Garbage.
How could you tell that only 0.33% of the people wanted to use it in their rounds? Even Left Behind is better than this joke from a perk, so let's make it live. Firstly, we treat all boons again like they would be hexes for survivors, and that killer can destroy, and people couldn't set them up after that anymore, and that they are unlimited to the meters. After that, we're giving the joke of the perk 7% boost in running, but the killer can hear the totem, so that he doesn't cry the DBD forms fully. Now we can call it as a perk, and is not the running joke from the Dead by Daylight community. Next one please. Hey, it's Iron Will for the poor ones, yay. Seriously, who thought in Behavior's basement that we need a perk which just wastes our hard disk spaces? Because the only thing which it does is making you shut up for 80 seconds after getting unhooked, so let's do it like this. If Iron Will should be getting the nerf which I told you, should we make it that after you got unhooked you can press a button which lets you to shut up for 100 seconds, but you can always pause it to let your character moan if you know if you don't need it, that you won't leave any blood pools and build in the calm spirit which I created, which make you not scream about everything in that time you are using the perk. That would help to not getting ignored by others and would be actually useful. I know, a thing which is really rare. Open-handed is a perk which gives you and your other friends a buff that your aura reading perks are getting plus 16 meters on top of it. I really like it, but I know that I like niches and others don't, so here is my idea. You have 4 cards in your pocket. If you don't use them, does all survivor get 16 meters more aura reading? If you decide to use a card, you will remove 4 meters from the aura reading, and you will give the survivor a boost from 4% about everything he is doing, even running, for 1 minute, and you will see his aura for 1 minute. But if you decide to pick your card as first, you will remove the aura reading, you will remove all cards, and you will be 16% faster for 1 minute in everything. If you should take yourself as second, you will remove all cards, and you will be 12% faster for 1 minute in everything. If you should take yourself as third, you will remove all cards, and you will be 8% faster for 1 minute in everything. If that should be too op, you could Photoshop a 5th card into the hands from Ace, add +1 card, but make a random mechanic out of it, and that the killer could also get a boost from it. To be honest, this idea would be one of my favorites since it is so random, and I just love card games in general. The next perk, Fast Track, is since a long time a thorn into my eye since I have a super duper great idea about it, and it just hurts me to see that over 99.70% does not want to use this perk. Fast Track is giving you for every person except of yourself 3 tokens, which gives you for each token 1% back on the generator is you hit a great skill check. So my idea for that perk is the following. Firstly, I want 8 least to get 6 tokens if someone is getting hooked, and what I also is to get another 3 tokens if I should unhook them, since I couldn't use them while I healed unhook the survivor safely. That's it, more do I not want, so please gimme that, because I'm just asking here for functional perks, nothing else. Our next candidate is Visionary, which lets you see all the generators in an area for 32 meters, but if a generator is repaired, won't you see the auras for 16 seconds? Again, hot garbage, yay, but I have no idea for this perk, so let's try to make it like this. You will see 2 generators which will change after a generator is repaired. If you repair a generator which you saw, its aura will get the following effect, being faster for 7% for 10 seconds, and leaving no blood pools, no scratch marks, and you won't moan. Since this would be Poison 2.0, would my second idea almost be the same, but just that you are getting a pip for repairing the generator, which you see its aura, which earns you 25% more blood points for each pip you have to a max to 100%. I know, the idea isn't very revolutionary, but I tried my best here since reworking so many perks is a bit hard to do. Solidarity gives you 50% from the heal back from someone which you heal. We all know what we want and what this perks needs for changes, but since I'm merciless _ which I have 2 ideas. The first one, very simple and easy, instead of 50% 50% make 100% out of it so that people want to use it. My second idea needs a bit more explanation here, but you will get it. Jane was in her world a star on the TV, and so with it a lot of people do know her. Probably also the other survivors, since Jane is such an icon that she is even my profile picture. That being said, the people which are being healed from her would be probably simping the shit out of them and would get a motivation boost from it, so my buff would be, while the time you heal a survivor, will the survivor which is being healed getting the buff that all the negative debuffs which he has on him is reduced by 50% so that they are faster away, and after they got fully healed that they will receive a sprint boost from 7% for 10 seconds, a permanent luck boost from 7% because they got lucky for being healed by the legendary Jane, and they will see your aura since they are probably a fan from Jane and will know what she is always doing, and she will see the aura from the latest healed survivor in an area of 32 meters because she can't remember all of her fans because she is so iconic. I know, here again I did not introduce a new whole mechanic, but both ideas would make the perk way more stronger. Repressed Alliance does let you spawn the entity if you work long enough on a generator and blocks it so that the killer can't touch it for 30 seconds. This perk only helped me rarely do. Let's change it like this. You have 3 pips and you can consume 1 to work on a generator even if it should be normally blocked by the entity, but the killer will be notified that you are working on a normally blocked generator, and if you leave the generator in the first 45 seconds after touching it, will the entity block this generator for 60 seconds, and while the time it should be normally blocked from the entity will you work progression reduced by 50%. This would give the survivors a chance to work on generators, since the corrupt intervention with Dead Man Switch goes so hard on my nerves from the killers without speed running him. Our next candidate is Rookie Spirit, which lets you see, after completing 3 skill checks, the auras from generators which are progressing. Nice idea, but do you know what would be better? For every skill check you hit on healing or repairing a generator will you receive a pip. Each pip equals 1 second where the progression bar won't go down whatever what will happening, but you will lose every pip if the generator got hit by the killer, and you will see the aura from the generator, which will be deprogressing soon. That would take a bar for the survivors for the annoying deprogression perks from killers without making it completely op, since we don't want to make the killers leave. The next one will be a hard one to do since I have no idea to buff it or change it. Red Herring lets you create a notification after you repaired the generator for 3 seconds and did go into a locker. So my idea might not be that new, but I tried my best to make it work. From now on you are a fish which is very hard to get into a hook or to catch, so while you are running you will still reduce your exhaustions perk, but they will need as double as long as they used to be to get them back while running. The wiggle effect will be getting stronger to 100%, but you are forever broken in the round once you got hit. You will bleed out 100% faster, and there is a 1% chance that you will stun the killer if he picks you up into his killer grasp to your first time. You can't make the chance higher with luck offering. I really tried to represent it as the fish in real life, and my whole idea was behind thinking about fishing but not forgetting the debuffs. Corrective action is that one perk which lets other not fuck up the generator if they are working with you on a generator, but you will consume a token for it and you will only receive tokens if you hit great skill checks. Again here, they fucked up the perk again, so let's say it all together what we want to add it in. My buff is that if you fuck up a skill check that it will be converted to a good one. This would allow other people want to play it, since this would also help you then. Self-preservation is that selfish perk from Yunjin Lee which sucks at his job at being selfish, since your scratch masks, grunts of pain, and bleeding effects will be stopped for 10 seconds if a survivor is getting instead of you in an area from 16 meters. I told you, it sucks at its job more than I do, and it wouldn't even need much to make it better. Easy and simple. I want 8 meters more because then this perk could work, since 16 meters usually doesn't work, and I want to get a 7% sprint boost because we know that the killers usually like to tunnel the survivors out, which is also fine for me, but then the survivors should get at least one more chance. This is going to be cool since my changes will include luck again, which we all know that I will buff it and make it to a whole new effect which does a lot in the game. The perk, Up the Ante, grants every survivor 3% more luck for every survivor which isn't dead yet to a max of 100%. Since I already spoiled what I will change here is my idea. Every person, even the killer, gains plus 25% more luck on everything. If a person dies, the luck from the others will be reduced and you will gain plus 5% more luck on every person which still lives in the game yet every time someone dies. Yes, I just love the whole luck mechanic, and yes, if I could I would create more luck perks because this is spicing the round so much more up. But the next idea was again stealed from Choi since the perk idea from the next perk was too good. The perk I'm talking about right now is Blood Pact, which gives you till now a 7% sprint boost effect if you healed the obsession, but you have to stay in the R from the obsession or else you will lose the effect, and you will see where the obsession is. Oh, and it will deactivate itself when you are the obsession. Yes, very complicated for an effect which does nothing. B however just knows how to fuck up perks because this is just yuck, so the idea from Choi was to change it like this. If you are unhooking someone from from the hook and healed him, will you enter with that person a blood pact on if he should have died on the hook that he will getting a third free hook and still can live while you are getting one state removed. For me, I would also like to add that you are getting a 7% sprint boost if the person got your hook stage, so that it would be fair, but better couldn't I do it, so props to him for that good idea. I'm sorry for saying this again, but the change for Poised wasn't also for me since his idea was again just too good to not take it for the video. But before we're going into Poised, will I tell you what it does RN, since almost the whole DBD community doesn't know that this perk exists. Poised right now does that you won't have any scratch marks for 10 seconds if a generator was finished repairing. To be honest, that perk actual helped me quite a lot and I don't want to change it, but since we have to, was the change from Choi was that the killer can't grab you any means if you are in the healthy status, which would make unhooks easier and would give the perk more reasons to play with it. The second last perk which isn't getting played by the community from 99,90% is Soul Survivor. Soul Survivor gives you for every dead survivor a pip. Every pip reduces on the aura reading ability from the killer, or how I would say it, absolutely nothing, and this perk is worse than the clown show on Twitter when every hashtag DBD stan is going crazy when someone has a different opinion than him. So let's make it to a perk which is getting used for letting other dying. Every time a survivor dies on a hook you will receive a pip. 1 pip will remove the grounds of pain and blood pools, 2 pips will let you see where the hatch will spawn for 15 seconds, and 3 pips will remove your scratch marks, and a 5% sprint boost for the rest of the round. This would reward those players to against the killer alone and would give them the power. And our last perk which isn't used at all is Buckle Up, which lets you see the auras from the survivors which are downed and see their progress, how much they are healed, and if you heal one of them that you are seeing the killers for 6 seconds. Why does this perk exist? Why does do nothing? And why the hell is that for an effect? My idea to buff and to make it playable would be like that. Your cloth is so strong that you prepared a trap for those which wants to grab you. For every second you are on the grab from the killer, will the killer get 2% slower each second. For every great skill check you make, do you add 0,2% on top of it. If you should wiggle off, will you stun the killer twice as long? The killer will be blinded but the perk will deactivate. This is what I call a strong perk, and make it strong so that people wants to use it. And with it did I change almost every Dead by Daylight Survivor perk under an hour hopefully. Write me down your ideas for the perks if you could change one. Visit my Patreon and my website to find some extra content, and I hope to see ya in next week's video. Have a good one and goodbye.